Welcome back to the Optimize You podcast, the place where we're helping you optimize looking and feeling your best. If you enjoy the show, be sure to share it with a friend, like, and subscribe. And let's get into today's podcast. So how to look good, feel good, and not only do that, but keep your results. We're going to go over that today. I'm going to give you guys some tactical strategies, steps 1 through 5, as if I were starting from scratch, or I was somebody who is chronically a yo-yo dieter or have lost the weight, built some muscle, but weren't able to keep my results. Those are the people I'm going to talk to today. We want to look good. We want to feel good. And most importantly, when we do something and put all this effort forward, we want to be able to sustain it and keep it. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Maybe you've been in that boat. Maybe you've been in that scenario. You've tried a 21-day challenge. Maybe you're consistent with your exercise protocol. You have a consistent strength program. You've been doing it maybe for quite some time, let's say more than a year, and you've been consistent with it and you've found results. You've been able to build muscle. You've been able to build strength. You've even been able to lose body fat. So your body recompositioning is going really, really well. But for whatever reason, when you reach some tangible goal or you feel like you've hit a plateau and you're not quite there yet, you seem to have this attitude of just throwing in the towel. Today's episode is going to be for you. We're going to talk about not only getting the results that we want, lower body fat, better muscle composition, and being able to look good, feel good for the long haul and keep all of that. We're going to dive into it today. So I do have a 5-step protocol that we're going to dive into here in a second, but I want to tell you a story and kind of paint the picture and the landscape here for what it is that we're going to talk about today. So if you've been in the position where you haven't engaged in any form of strength trainer, you haven't been in a consistent workout routine before that has been progressively overloading. What do I mean by progressive overloading? When we're focused on building muscle, you have to progressively lift things heavier and heavier each time. Or progressive overload can mean the amount of weight that you're moving. Of course, we're talking intensity. It can mean repetitions. So you're increasing your repetitions. It can mean you're improving your form and your technique over extended periods of time, right? And if we're talking about durations of workout cycles, let's just say for the sake of argument, 4 to 6 week increments, looking at your workouts. Let's say you're training a few times a week or even a couple times a week, but the goal is to progressively overload in some way, shape, or form. Majority of the time, we're talking about intensity and loading. So for example, if I'm starting off week 1 and I'm bench pressing 135, the following week, I want to try to either improve weight wise, 140, 145, whatever it is, even if that means dropping down my repetitions or increasing the volume that I'm performing with 135. So if I was just doing 5 reps on week 1, I want to try to aim for 6 or 7 reps on week 2, et cetera, et cetera. So we want to try to progress in some way, shape, form, or fashion. And that's going to help us not only build strength, but build muscle tissue. And that's that element right there by itself, solo, is going to help you not only improve your longevity from a performance standpoint, but when we're talking metabolically, being able to prime your metabolism, making sure that our metabolic rate is moving really, really well at a very fast pace so that we can, when we go into a caloric deficit, burn body fat. This is one of the most important things that you can do is focus on building muscle. Okay. So we're going to go through these steps 1 through 5 here. And so you have the lay of land and kind of have an idea of what we're looking for. Let's just assume that the person that I'm talking to or the people that I'm talking to here, first and foremost, we want to feel good. We also want to look good and we want to keep those results. We don't want to waste our time. So that's what we're going to go over today. So these are my 5 simple steps that I would either tell my previous self, over a decade ago, let's say, who was just getting started and didn't know the ins and outs or the streamlined way to really not only get results, but to keep them. Or if you've been somebody who's chronically going through the cycle, this vicious cycle and yo-yoing of, okay, I get results and then I lose them. And I get results and I lose them. And I'm ping-ponging back and forth between losing and gaining the same 20, 30, 40, 50 pounds. And you can't seem to find an answer and sustain it for the long haul. This is going to be for you. So we're going to go over step number 1. Step number 1 is know what you want. I know it sounds basic, but step number 1 is all about, you can use the word selfish. I like to use self-love, but figuring out what it is that you truly want. Not only that, but giving yourself permission to want it is really important. And I'll dive into that a little bit deeper. Not just what you want. And I put an emphasis on you because I think oftentimes people make goals or people strive towards something in order to not hurt other people's feelings, or if they try to be accepted in a certain social crowd, or they feel like, oh, you're this way, so you should cater and make your goals towards this direction because that's what other people would want from you. I want you to, as if you were to write a goal, crinkle up the paper and then throw it away so that nobody could, or put it in a paper shredder so nobody else could see it. That's the thing that I want you to think about in terms of what you want. When we're talking body recomposition, you want to look good, you want to feel good, like write down those things. What is it that you truly, truly want? Is it because you want to look amazing and phenomenal in a swimming suit? Is it because you want to have your spouse or significant other look at you a certain way and respect you a little bit more? Is it because you demand respect from a certain group of people that you lead, maybe at work? Whatever it may be, right? Maybe it's to look good, feel good, so that you can operate at higher energy levels, to have energy to play with the kids, right? Like whatever it is, you have to be super selfish with this and write what it is that you truly want down, because that's the thing that you're going to lean on, not if, but when this gets tough in the journey. So that's number one. Figure out truly what you want. And I put an emphasis on you, because that's the most important part. Not what other people want for you, not what sounds cool, not what your friends have. What do you selfishly want? And also, there's a part B to that. Give yourself permission and say it's okay to want those things, not in fear of other people's judgment. Like I said, if you were to write this down and then you were to shred this paper after so that nobody else would be able to see it, that's the thing that you want to put on here. That's the thing you want to harness. That's the thing you want to lean on, that's going to help you in this scenario and in these situations. Okay, part number 2 is commit to lifting 3 to 4 times per week. We touched on it a little bit, but if you're not building muscle in this process, you're putting yourself at a huge disadvantage. Why is that? We talked about the ability to prime your metabolism, get your metabolism in a healthy position. The more muscle you have, the easier that process is going to be. In turn, when we're talking about getting rid of body fat specifically, not just weight loss, but getting rid of body fat, the more muscle tissue we have on our body, the more calories we're going to burn at rest, the easier it's going to be to get rid of body fat when it comes time for that stage. So being able to consistently resistance train for beginners just starting out, a minimum of 3 times a week is what I recommend. Of course, there's going to be a bunch of nuance in this, but this is just a blanket statement. Generally, at least 3, if you can, 4 times, or look to shortly progress to 4 times. 3 times is plenty. So don't feel like you have to absolutely 100% do more than that. It all comes down to the quality of the sessions that you are having. That's far more important than how many days you're performing. And we're not talking about like HIIT training, cardio, Zumba classes, Orange Theory, like all these things that are designed to elevate your heart rate. We're talking about lifting heavy weights, right? Progressively. That's how you build muscle. It's not to go to a class and get super sweaty and get out of breath, right? That's great. That's going to build your cardiovascular state. That's going to build your ability to breathe, right? That's fine. That's great. We're talking about specifically building muscle. So there needs to be a certain stimulus required there to be able to lift a certain amount of weight progressively that forces your muscle to overcome and adapt and progress and get stronger and build muscle. So that's what we're talking about. Not how many rounds you can do on a rower and a treadmill and lift super light weights for as many reps as you possibly can and get a good sweat and think you got a good workout in. Okay, those do have a time and place. Those are great. But for what we're talking about right now, about looking good, feeling good, and keeping your results, we want to build muscle tissue. And that's how we do it. We need to commit to at least 3 times per week to start, preferably increasing that as you start to get further and further along in your journey. Okay, so that is number 2, commit to 3 to 4 times per week. Number 3, have a calorie and a protein target. So it doesn't matter how well you're progressively overloading, how well you are getting your consistency in the gym and getting stronger and weights are going up and you're improving from that aspect. If you don't properly fuel your body, and more specifically, we're talking about caloric intake, how much energy does your body need to operate and be optimal and be in a state to where you can progress because you're giving yourself enough food and quality of food. But more importantly, taking that a step further, the amount of protein that you're consuming is very, very important. We talked about the amount of muscle that we have is going to make our fat loss process a lot easier. So it's really important to make sure that you have a protein specific target. Anywhere from 0.8 to 1 grams per pound of body weight is a great place to start. Of course, everybody's going to be different. But right now, if you tracked your calories and your protein for the next 7 days and you didn't change anything, you didn't change how you ate, you didn't change your drinking habits, none of that. You kept everything the same. After 7 days, jot down how many calories, the average across the 7 days of both your calories and your protein. And now you have a starting point. And if your protein isn't 0.8 to 1 grams per pound of body weight or goal body weight, right? You use goal body weight as well. Preferably use goal body weight, especially if you're very obese. Use your goal body weight, 0.8 to 1 gram per pound of goal body weight. And if your protein, I bet you your protein, if you haven't tracked before, your protein is going to be way off of that. It's going to be extremely low because the majority of what we're consuming is processed, high carbohydrate, highly palatable foods, high in fat, etc. You will be very surprised at how low your protein is, generally speaking, most people, the 99%. If you have tracked before, then you know what an adequate amount of protein on a day-to-day basis looks like and feels like and how your body operates, right? You're going to feel amazing. You're going to recover from your workout sessions. Your ability to build muscle tissue consistently is going to be a lot better when you hit that protein target versus when you don't. So that is super, super, super important. In addition to the calorie that we talked about, knowing your calorie intake, getting that 7-day average and having a starting point, that's what you're currently consuming, is going to make, I like to reference it as if you know how many calories you're consuming, and more specifically, even the protein that is part of that. Protein is part of the macronutrient, right? Proteins, carbs, fats. We won't talk about carbs and fats here because I want to give you the keys that are going to move the needle the most for you, give you the biggest bang for your buck. That's going to be your caloric intake and more specifically your protein intake. So those two alone. Once you figure out your calories and you have that 7-day average, now you have a starting point and you can go based on how your body's operating. If you feel like your energy's super low, if you feel like you're not eating enough, great opportunity to increase and bump those calories up. If you haven't hit those protein targets that we talked about yet, great opportunity to make some changes there as well. There's so many effects and benefits that come from just hitting those 2 targets alone. We won't even talk about the other ones. Just give your primary focus to those. And I promise you're going to thank yourself later in the process. Number 4, 10,000 steps a day. 10,000 steps is just an arbitrary number. It might be shorter for some. It might be more for some. But 10,000 steps, the reason that is created is because that is from a phenomenon back in the day that was created for a whole marketing campaign saying that 10,000 was, the number one amount of steps that you need to be able to hit to live a healthy lifestyle. 10,000 is just, it's a general target to shoot for. I have my clients before heading into what I call an in-season or phase 2 or a caloric deficit where we're focused on burning body fat. They need to have at least 8,000 steps underneath their belt consistently for their weekly average. So they don't have to hit that every day, but across a 7-day span, their weekly average needs to be 8,000. And that's just the number that I found to have clients be extremely successful in my process, specifically in my protocol that I have for them. Now, if you find that you're walking 2,000 steps right now, that doesn't mean jump up to 10,000. Add roughly 1 to 2,000 per day to your total step count right now. That's a great place to start. You can progressively work up to, I would say, a minimum of 8,000. 10,000 would be a great number to shoot for, but it's not required, right? So aim for at least that 8,000. That's a great indicator that your body is going to be put well into a caloric deficit based on how much energy you're expending in the day. Steps is one of the easiest ways to do that for so many different reasons, but a couple quick reasons is because it's easily repeatable, right? Most people can do it. Most people can go for a walk and walk consistently day in and day out. We do it every single day subconsciously without even thinking about it. So it also has a very low risk for injury. It keeps our intensity extremely low, and it's something that's repeatable. And this whole game is about repeatability, consistency. How well do you adhere? And so if we have this low barrier to entry of something that we're already doing day in and day out, we're just keeping track of it and adding data to it and being more specific and intentional with it, makes your process a whole lot easier. And it's something that you're actually already started on. I'm just encouraging you to bring a little bit more data to it, start tracking it. Okay. And number 5 is 7 to 8 hours of sleep. Most people don't talk about this one. Sleep is something that most people are going to skip over. especially when they're trying to improve their health and fitness journey. It's one of the things that, oh yeah, I'll just brush that under the rug, or I can get away with my 4 or 5 hours of sleep consistently and I can continue to make progress until you can't. Until you get to a position where you can't, and you're looking and you're like, man, but I'm hitting my calories, I'm hitting my protein, I'm hitting my daily steps. I feel like I'm progressively overloading in the gym each and every single week. And my data shows to prove that. I figure out and establish my good habits and exactly what I specifically want. So I have a target that I'm going towards. You could do all of those things. But if your sleep is suffering, you're putting yourself behind the 8 ball. It will continue to be the bottleneck in your process, and you'll continue to suffer, period. However, if you do prioritize sleep, you will feel higher levels of energy. You will allow your hormones to be in a phenomenal position to have success continuously. We were talking about ghrelin and leptin, right? Your hunger hormones. If you are putting yourself at a lack of sleep, we elevate levels of cortisol, which trigger our levels of ghrelin, which is our hunger hormone, which is going to skyrocket through the roof, which makes us in quickly grab for those readily available snacks, those highly palatable, high sugar, super processed foods, and it's going to be very difficult to stop, right? And so being able to get quality sleep is huge. Not just the 7 to 8 hours, but the quality of your sleep. So what are some things to help that you can do to help your quality of sleep? Black out your curtains, right? Black out your room with blackout curtains. I like to call it the 3-2-1 method. 3 hours before bed, shut down any food and drinks. Some water is okay, but you want to send a signal to your body, hey, we're not focused on digestion right now. We just want to rest, and we want to fall asleep, and we want to do so in a quick manner. Okay, so 3 hours before bed, 3-2-1. 3 hours before bed, shut down all food and drinking. 2 hours before bed, shut down all work. That includes like answering emails, physical work, working out, etc., all those things. And then 1 hour before bed, shut down any screen time. So watching any screens, computers, tablets, phones, etc., shut that down. And I promise you, if you practice that 3-2-1 method, if you're somebody who struggles with sleep quality right now, I guarantee you your sleep quality will improve when you implement that consistently over time. You'll notice a big difference. I am going to also give you guys a bonus tip today. And the bonus tip is number 6, we'll call it. Number 6 bonus tip is mindset and longevity. What do I mean by that? Having the correct mindset, choosing the lens in which you view your process through is going to mean everything. So steps 1 through 5 will be irrelevant if you don't have this bonus tip to go along with it. Because it's not a matter of if, but when it gets challenging, when it becomes difficult, when it becomes tough, you need to have the correct mindset around longevity in your process. One of the easiest ways you can do this is eliminate the finish line. There is no finish line. There is no, oh, once I get a 6-pack, I can just kick my feet up and then eat whatever I want and relax. It doesn't work like that. All the steps that you took to be able to get to where it is that you want to go have to be sustained in some way, shape, or form. Maybe not to that extreme degree, but they will have to be sustained in some way, shape, or form so that you can not only have, but keep the results that you got. That's the thing that a lot of people misconstrue. They think that once I reach this promised land, once I reach that bikini body, once I reach that confidence to be able to take off my shirt at the beach, that now all of a sudden I can stop all the doing, all of a sudden I can stop doing all the things that got me here in the first place. And I can just relax. I can kick it. I can hang out because I've reached this destination. That couldn't be further from the truth. You actually have to double down. The only difference now is that the nutrition protocol, you hitting your calories, your protein, you focused on your total daily energy expenditure, you getting quality sleep, you knowing what it is that you want and having extreme clarity around that, you progressively overloading and building muscle, doing all of these things. They don't just disappear. But by the time you have reached where it is that you want to go, those things should feel like they're second nature, should feel like they're ingrained, should feel like they're part of you, should feel like they're now, a piece of your identity. Because now you've developed this new person, this improved version of you who has gone through any and everything, all the amount of repetitions, the amount of practice, the amount of volume that you've put in. Those things don't just disappear. They're now ingrained in you and they're part of you. They may take less effort. They may take less focus and intentionality because you've done them time and time again, assuming you've done them at a consistent enough level to yield a specific outcome. But you don't just get to that outcome and then all of a sudden you quit all those things that got you there. You actually have to keep doing those things. So in order to set yourself up for success, this is where I see people fail time and time again, is they get to their hypothetical end. They get to their finish line. They get to their destination. They have got the body for their wedding. They have got the confidence to be able to take off their shirt and look good in a bathing suit on their cruise. They've got to this position to look a certain way so that they have enough confidence in their own skin. And all of a sudden, they stop doing all the things that got them there. They don't have an exit strategy. They don't have an exit plan. So in order to do that, ditch your finish line. Get rid of it as fast as you possibly can, because the better you can do that, the more likely it is that you have the ability to commit to things long-term and you can extend your time horizon. And that way you'll keep your results. Not only will you get them, not only will you have the ability to feel good, look good, but you're going to be able to do that for time and time again, year in and year out. You'll never have to yo-yo and go back and try some quick diet, some quick fix, some quick challenge. You can cut out all the bullshit and you can go, okay, what are the things that got me here? What are the things that did I do them in a sustainable way? That's first and foremost. I always like to say, if you can't do it for 10 years, don't even bother doing it for 10 days. So make sure it's something sustainable, right? And that'll eliminate all the BS diets that are out there in quick fads. And if you take that approach, not only will you get to where it is that you want to go, but you'll continue to keep going in that direction, and it'll continuously improve beyond what you could have even imagined for yourself. Because now not only have you got to where you want to go, but now it's compounding because you're continuously improving further and beyond what you thought you were even capable of. And now you're reaching new levels. Now you're opening new doors. Now you're reaching new ceilings for yourself, new levels. And trust me, when you do that, the game gets extremely fun because you open up your eyes to the possibilities of what you're truly capable of. And if you just set some destination, some finish line, when I get there, I'll be happy. When I achieve this certain body, look, image, feel good, look good, I'll be done and I can just throw in the towel and quit because I've reached it. So I don't need to do anything to sustain it. And that couldn't be further from the truth. So think long-term, get rid of the Amazon Prime, quick delivery. We want everything fast, right? Commit to the long journey, commit to the day in and day out incremental improvements because they do compound over time and time again. And I promise you, you'll be happy with yourself. Hopefully that makes sense. I'll go over the key points one more time. Number one, know what you want. We put an emphasis on you, what you selfishly want. If you were to write your goals down, shred the paper after so that nobody else can see it, that's the goal that you truly want. Commit to lifting the 3 to 4 times a week. The importance of building muscle. And we talked about doing that in a progressive fashion, getting stronger week in and week out, if not every week, every other week, and definitely month to month. Have a calorie and a protein target. If you don't, you're just guessing. You're trying to hit the dartboard with the lights off in the dark, and all you're hitting is the sheetrock. We want to be able to see that target. We want to eliminate the guesswork as much as possible. In order to do that, we need to know calories. We need to know calories and we need to know protein because those two are going to give us the biggest bang for the buck and move the needle the most. Specifically, if we're busting our ass in the gym, working on getting stronger, progressively building, those are the things that are going to help us take it to a whole nother level. Number 4 is 10,000 steps, minimum 8,000, but it's a good goal to shoot for, right? At least 8,000. If you're not quite there yet, do it in a progressive fashion. We talked about if you're at 2,000 steps, add 1 to 2,000 steps to your daily total so that your average, we're talking about a 7-day average here, can accumulate 8 to 10,000 steps. It's a great range to be in and beyond. Don't let me limit you to that, but let's try to get that as a minimum. And then 7 to 8 hours of sleep per night, quality sleep. We talked about how to use the 3-2-1 method. We talked about different tactics that you can do to set yourself up for success and the importance of sleep and how it affects your journey and your process and your progress in your journey. And then we gave you the bonus tip of course, mindset and longevity. Make sure you're looking through the correct lens in your process. Longevity, long-term success, not only getting to your destination, but doing so in a way that's so sustainable, but that everything that you did got you to the point, and you did so in a fashion that you can keep doing those things. And they're so ingrained that they've now become part of your identity. You now live as somebody who lives a healthy and fit lifestyle and doesn't take no for an answer. They take control of their situation. They're the person that plans ahead. They're not afraid to tell people no. A little planning ahead can go a long way, even if it's just 24 to 48 hours, let alone your entire week. And when you do that, you have a plan, you have intentionality, you have so much more control in your process, and you'll be able to deviate and dodge and deflect all the distractions that'll come along from other people, circumstances, and things that no longer serve you. You'll be able to filter through all that stuff and keep your results. Till then, I will catch you guys on the next one. Make sure if you got something from this and you practice those 5 steps with the 6-step bonus, and you found a change in your body, you found a change in your life, you found a change and an improvement, be sure to let us know. We love hearing from you guys, Alex and I both. And just shoot us a comment, shoot us a message, and make sure you share this with somebody who you feel like could benefit from it. So if you have friends, family, that's all we ask of you guys. Until then, we'll catch you on the next one.